The time we turn our attentions to the team actually leading the way in the Premier League. Arsenal, they have been in sublime form since the start of 2024. They had that bit of a wobble, didn't they? And they went on to 9 wins from 9. An aggregate score, incredibly, of 38-4, including, of course, beating Liverpool. Why do you think they've been so good, Pete? Well, that trip to Dubai has really paid off, hasn't it? Maybe we should all go to find some sunshine in January, and really give us a good start to the year. Yeah, because it came at a time, didn't it, where, as you say, there was a lot of question marks about their finishing. There was a lot of talk about why can't Arsenal score these chances? They need a proper striker, and we'd seen them against Fulham. Actually, they were really off colour. They lost that game to Liverpool just before they went away. But the performance against Fulham was a real sort of alarm bell sort of time. But they've come back and obviously spent a lot of time working on set pieces. They've been fantastic from those since then. Saka and Martinelli seem to have got their spark back. I think really importantly, they've found the role for Havertz as well. Because I think for the first half of that season, it was a real enigma, wasn't it? About how do you get the best out of this? Clearly a skillful player, but he never seemed quite at home on that left side of midfield. Beckham and Rice sitting behind him. And actually they pushed him forward and moved Rice forwards. And that's really paid off for them since then. So yeah, opportunity, I think that was for Arteta to make some tweaks, a rest, a little break. And we saw it with Man City as well. They went away to the Club World Cup when they were just struggling a little bit in the league. And they came back like a real steam train. So yeah, that's the trick, isn't it? Go and find some sunshine. Yeah, before we bring in Sam, he's just dreaming of a holiday right now. That's it. Mark McAdams has definitely not been on a holiday. You've been busy. Going to bring up Havertz, actually, as you've mentioned it. One of their big summer signings wasn't immediately popular, was he? But he's become a very, very important player. Talk us through the rise and his position as well. Yeah, it was one of the surprise moves, really, of the summer, wasn't it? When Arsenal swooped over the course of the summer window. Across London for Kai Havertz at Chelsea, there was a lot of talk about the position he would play. More as a 10 or an 8 than just an out-and-out striker. But it certainly feels like he's taken his game to the next level under Mikel Arteta. Only 24 years old as well, so you get the feeling he can get even better. Let's take a look at some of the stats and the situation when you compare him to previous campaigns. This is obviously the last 4 seasons, and already you can see when it comes to open play goals, he's on 6 this season compared to the 7 in 21-22, which is his best. The open play XG as well. Slightly different at the moment, perhaps because he's playing in a slightly different role. You can see the XG difference insignificantly, the big chances, the percentages there. You can see very different for Arsenal, 47%. This is how he compares in terms of this season. In the first 9 games, the middle 9 games, and the last 9 games. You can see the difference again. Open play goals, like Peter alluded to there, struggled at the start of his new life at Arsenal, got better in the middle 9. You can see in his last 9, 4 open play goals. The XG, very different as well compared to 0.67 in the first 9 matches of the campaign compared to 3.68 now. The big chance is very different as well. You can see the trajectory here. Kai Havertz is finally fulfilling his potential. He looks like he's comfortable at Arsenal at the moment. Possession, 1 in the final third. Again, that's improved from 4 to 8 to 10. So he's on the front foot. He's pressing high, winning the ball. And you can see again the aerial duels won, very different 13, 20 and 25. So all of that, there is really painting a picture that this man is in form, he's enjoying his football, and Mikel Arteta is getting the very best out of him. Arsenal fans will be hoping he carries on his recent form as well. It's 5 goals into his last 8 games for club and country. One of those goals was against France, no less, at the weekend. Favourites for the Euros. There you go. Exactly. See, what do we think is behind this run of form? We all did think he was maybe going to step in the shoes of Granit Xhaka. Playing that number 8 became a bit of a false 9. He's become really the focal point of the attack, hasn't he, Sam? Yeah, I think so. I think you can see from those stats there, the fact that he's playing as a number 9, as a centre forward. He's getting more chances. He's getting higher XG. He's winning more aerial duels. He's in more dangerous areas in the middle of the pitch. And I think that's been crucial. Finding that balance, getting the likes of Jorginho, who he played with at Chelsea as well. So that might be a factor as well, into the team as well. With Declan Rice sort of playing a little bit further forward, looking to move behind the runs. But yeah, it feels like he is the number 9 now, and that's especially encouraging given, they've got Gabriel Jesus and Leandro Trossard. They have both had good spells, and Havertz is currently keeping both of them out of the team. And he looks happy as well and playing with confidence, which is another thing. I just want to ask about these withdrawals for Arsenal in the international break because, you do feel that they're struggling for this game at the weekend. Or do we feel that we will be seeing players like the likes of Saka and Gabriel featuring? Maybe. Yeah, because obviously City have had their issues as well. I think the key thing for Saka and Gabriel, who pulled out of their respective squads, was the word precautionary. I think it was almost they got them out of there before the issues really became a big problem, because obviously you saw Walker and Stones go off in game for England. So I think that was important. And I think we might see both of those on the pitch this Sunday. Martinelli obviously had that cut against Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago. Obviously he had a bit of time for that to heal as well. We don't know where he'll be with that. But I think another boost was Tomiyasu and Thomas Partey played in a behind-closed-doors game during the international break as well. So potentially the injury front not looking too bad for Arteta. Yeah, I think Martinelli is actually the key one that Arsenal want back. But he was obviously missing before the break and Arsenal was still winning. But he scored that winner against Manchester City in the reverse game back in October. He's such a key player. And if Kyle Walker is out, that left-hand side could be a really good area for Arsenal to exploit if Martinelli is back. Remember, Arsenal won against City without Bukayo Saka in their team in October. He was missing. He was injured. He dropped out late. So Arsenal can deal with these little injury setbacks. But you feel that if they walk into the Etihad Stadium with a fully fit squad, it talks about psychological boost. That could be massive for them in one of their biggest games of the season. We wait patiently for all the little snippets of news that, of course, come out and the news conferences that will be there to bring you it all as well. Do Arsenal have what it takes this season, Mark? What do we reckon? I think so. You have to remember as well, in those press conferences, the managers aren't always honest with their team news. So you have to read between the lines a little bit. Arsenal fans won't want to be reminded of this. But after 28 games last season, Arsenal were 8 points clear, although Manchester City did have a game in hand. Then they were knocked out of Europe in the Europa League. It looked like they were going to be okay with 2 back-to-back 4-0 wins against Palace and Leeds. But 3 draws and a defeat ended their hopes of the title. In the final table, they were 5 points off City. This is after the March international. This is a situation you can see not as many as Arsenal fans would like. They picked up just 15 points out of a possible 30. Arsenal fans will be hoping they don't see something like that once again this season. So my question to Sam and Peter, what is the difference now between this Arsenal side and the team that fell away last season? Well, it's quite simple. They're better in every single department. Goals, expected goals, goals conceded, expected goals conceded. They're literally beating their records from last season every single time. And I think Declan Rice, such an excellent signing, he's given them a lot more control. But also, let's not forget that run after the March international break last season, William Saliba got injured. If he hadn't got injured, there was a really strong case that Arsenal could have still gone on to win the title, irrespective of City's form. So keeping players fit this season, especially those core key players, is going to be crucial for Arsenal. I think confidence as well. I think after what they went through last season, they've learned so much from that. I think really Arsenal now feel like they belong at this level as well. Before, I couldn't believe it. This 15 out of their last 16 matches with Man City, Arsenal had lost going into this season. You think that Community Shield win on penalties just felt so important to them. And obviously then they beat them at the Emirates and they go to the Etihad now really believing that they can win these big title deciding games really. And I guess that's the next hurdle is because they've lost their last 8 at the Etihad. So another hurdle to overcome this weekend. We're going to have a look at the run-in now. Of course, remember last season, they lost to Brighton towards the end. They lost to Nottingham Forest after the heavy defeat to Manchester City. They cannot afford to be losing any of these, cannot afford to be dropping points against any side. If anything, draw would do nicely against Manchester City, especially if you're a Liverpool fan or there or thereabouts. But just focusing on these key games then, and particularly towards the end of the season, Spurs and Manchester United, they have to go away to both of those. Yeah, I think if you look at it, I think Arsenal have got a real tricky period in April, haven't they? But certainly those games jump out in terms of teams motivated to stop them, top them absolutely. Man United will be surely challenging for European spots at that point as well. And then Everton on the last day. Well, Everton have had some big final day results recently to stay in the division. Who knows, with points deductions and things like that, they might be fighting for their lives again, obviously at the Emirates there. And, will it be a celebration at the Emirates or another frustrating end to the campaign for them? I mean, even after next week, it's still pretty difficult. Away to Roberto De Zerbi's Brighton, that's not an easy game, and then Aston Villa at home. Unai Emery back at the Emirates. There's a story and a half. And of course, also going to Gary O'Hale's Wolves. Then Matis Kuhn has been seen back in training. Hee Chan-Huan could be back as well, so that could be a pretty strong Wolves side that face Arsenal. Different to the Wolves that they played towards the end of last season. They did end on a high there, didn't they? Yeah, absolutely. Okay,